Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's GTA 5 video, I'm going to be telling you guys 15 things you need to know before you end up getting the Invade and Persuade mini tank in Grand Theft Auto Online. So this is going to be one of the most interesting vehicles that we review, but it's also pretty special, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's actually begin with the size of this RC tank. That's actually what Rockstar calls it, an RC tank. However, it is way bigger than the RC Bandito. In fact, to give you guys a little bit of a perspective here, this is what it looks like standing next to Franklin. So height-wise, it's kind of like a small child, maybe like 2 or 3 feet tall. And width-wise, it's maybe as big as an ATV. In fact, it's kind of similarly sized to an ATV. Maybe a little bit smaller because there is no need in order for you to actually like sit on top of it like you would an ATV, because this is going to be passenged like an RC Bandito. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but first let's bring this in to the Los Santos custom shop to see what sort of customization that we can do. So when you bring it into the LSC, unfortunately, there's not a lot that you can actually do. The first thing is liveries. Now, again, unfortunately, the liveries are not all that exciting here. They are the same liveries that were added in like the gun running update a couple of years ago that can be applied to a handful of those vehicles, like sprayed camo 90 sandbox. There's 10 of them in total. The only significant change that it makes is it puts the like Fort Zancudo star on the front and then 454 over the left set of treads. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean, if it's a reference to something. But yeah, you can choose between a couple of different like military-esque designs and looks here, but nothing all that special as far as the liveries go. Now, as far as your respray goes, you only get a primary color, and the only thing you can do is change basically the entire body of the tank. So you can play around with, crazy metals, like if you wanted to make it gold or like a matte green, you could really do whatever you wanted here. There's just not a lot of customization options. Now, the one that has the most customization are your weapons. And you get a choice between the stock weapon, which we'll take a look at in a bit, the flamethrower, rocket launcher, and plasma cannon. And the rocket launcher sort of puts this like purple design on the barrel, and the plasma cannon puts this like light cyan blue design on the barrel. So again, we'll check out all those weapons in a second. Let's actually begin with the stock cannon. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, the stock cannon is pretty terrible. It is not all that great at all. So because I was testing this in single player, I obviously wasn't able to see how it works against other GTA Online characters, but I have heard, and I will leave a link to some information in the description if you want to check it out for yourself, that the standard cannon takes 14 shots to kill a player. So if you guys were worried that this tank was going to be overpowered, fear not, because 14 shots to kill someone, that is like a pea shooter. That's almost doing no damage. And you guys can see there that even shooting at things like trucks and vehicles, it takes a long time to actually do any significant damage. So don't let the tank name fool you here. This thing is really anything but. It's just a fun little like pea shooter on wheels, at least with the standard cannon. Now, the next upgrade is even worse, and that is the flamethrower. And the reason it's worse is because the range on the flamethrower is like 3 feet. And this tank does not move all that quickly. So as you guys can see here, it looks really cool. But the big problem with it is that flame only reaches out, again, like 2 or 3 feet. So your target would literally have to be like right in front of you in order to actually do any damage to them. And even if you were to just set them on fire for a second, it's unlikely that that would even kill them. So the flamethrower, not all that great at all. It does almost no damage, and its range is terrible. So I would honestly say that this is probably the worst upgrade of the bunch. Now let's move on to the next upgrade, and that is the rocket launcher. And I had high hopes for the rocket launcher, but this one is also pretty bad. and I'll explain why. The first thing is the rocket launcher has a very short range. Now, I'm not sure what the range is, but I think it's around like 50 meters. It's pretty awful. And it takes 3 seconds to reload between shots. Now, 50 meters seems like a long distance, but not for a rocket. And you guys can see here that I'm actually like shooting at targets, anticipating it to hit, and it ends up not. It just like explodes in the middle of the air. So even with this upgrade, you still have to be pretty close to the target in which you're trying to hit, which obviously makes things pretty difficult. So I honestly do not recommend the rocket launcher add-on here. It's not all that great. It takes a long time in between shots, which is obviously going to leave you pretty vulnerable. So that's just not all that good. The final upgrade is the plasma cannon, and I would say that this is probably your best bet of the bunch. It's still not great, but there are 2 benefits here. Unlike the standard cannon, it only takes 12 shots to kill another player, and it has a much faster fire rate, meaning that you're likely going to connect 12 shots in a quicker succession. So if I had to choose one of the upgrades here, the plasma cannon is definitely going to be the way to go. So those are your weapon upgrades right there that you can do inside of the Los Santos custom shop. Let's talk about the price of this vehicle. And I wanted to sort of save this towards this part of the video because it does take some explaining. So the default price of the Invade and Persuade RC tank is $2,275,000. However, this is important. Over the next couple of days, Rockstar are giving away this tank for free on Christmas. That's right. If you sign on Christmas Day, you will get this RC tank and a couple of other gifts for free. We've touched on what those are in previous videos, and when Christmas arrives, I'll show you guys actually getting the tank and how it works in online. But you do not want to miss out on this opportunity if you feel like this is something you're going to use on a daily basis. Because saving $2.2 million just by logging on a certain day, that is a no-brainer right there. So this vehicle is going to be free very soon, and it looks like it's going to be arriving on December 25th. And then after that, you can purchase it if you really want. Now, a couple of other factoids about this vehicle. As you guys saw in this video, it's upgraded at the Los Santos custom shop, which is kind of interesting because it's a RC tank. You wouldn't think that would be upgraded there. Now, you also might be wondering, how do you store the vehicle or how is it called in? It's not stored in any garage spot. It spawns in via your inventory menu, just like the RC Bandito. So it's kind of stored in like this invisible spot. It also has a 2-minute cooldown. So if the tank is destroyed, you have to wait 2 minutes before you can call it in again. Some other things about the tank is it can be locked onto. However, it does not appear on the radar. So it does have a little bit of a stealth aspect to it, if you could call this little tank stealthy. So that's kind of cool. Also, when the player is using it, they actually despawn from the map. So your character doesn't just like stand in the middle of the road. They turn invisible and disappear when you're using the tank. However, if you do kill someone in the tank, it will show as a player versus player kill and not like a mini tank kill. It's just something to keep in mind right there. It also takes 5 homing missiles to destroy, or 5 RPGs, 5 explosives, so it can survive a little bit, which is pretty cool. It has a very, very slow speed, but one thing that you can do to increase that is the jumping feature. This tank has a fun little jumping feature, and it takes like 2 or 3 seconds to recharge, and you'll know that you can jump again when you hear this little chime that occurs after you jump. It almost sounds like a horn playing. It's interesting, that's for sure. Now, another fun little factoid about the tank. You guys can see that American flag waving on the back. Number 1, you can't change it. And also, number 2, it actually has an animation function, meaning it reacts to the wind and the weather in the game. It's kind of a small little thing right there, but I did find that to be pretty cool. Also, if you mess around with the mod menus, you can remove the 2 barrels from the back, but I don't know if this is a feature that you'll normally be able to do in online. It might be something that happens when the tank takes damage. Those barrels might end up falling off. but just something interesting that I noticed about the tank. But anyways, that right there is 15 things you need to know about the Invade and Persuade RC mini tank that's going to be added into Grand Theft Auto Online in just a couple of days. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Are you going to be getting this vehicle on Christmas Day, so you'll be getting it for free? For whatever reason, if you can't sign on Christmas Day, will you be paying the almost $2.3 million it takes to get this vehicle separately? Or are you just not going to bother? You're not really into, RC things, no matter how cool they might be in the form of a tank. Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you guys did go to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and all the Diamond Casino Heist and Festive Surprise 2019 videos that I'm doing here on my channel over the next couple of days and weeks. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.